Hello class. Today we are going to be looking at circle geometry. Circle geometry is going to be an introduction to circle geometry. Now, what is a circle? What is a circle? Let's start by defining what a circle is. A circle is a set of infinite points that are equidistant from a central position. You need to really have this offhand. A circle is a set of infinite points that are equidistant from a central position. Let me draw it. A circle, this is actually a rough sketch, right? But whenever you have a circle, there's something called a central position, and all points that have equal distance or equal radius from that central position is called what? They form a circle. So circle is a plane shape that is a collection of all points that are of equal distance from a central position. So that's what a circle is. Let me say it once again. A circle is a collection of all points, all infinite points that are equidistant from a central position. Now we have the core elements of a circle. We're going to be looking at the core elements of a circle in today's class. Maybe from subsequent class, we'll start doing some calculations. The core elements of a circle, first of all, we have the center of the circle. The center of the circle. That is the point of the center of the circle, to the point from which the equal distance of the circumference can be gotten. Do you understand? So that is the center of the circle. Next thing we have in a circle is called the radius. The radius. Now the radius, you can just write down this. The radius is the distance between the center of the circle to the circumference. This is what we call a radius. The distance from the center of the circle to the circumference of the circle is called a radius. When radius is 2, we can call it radii. Is that okay? Radii. The plural of radius is radii. Now also we have another thing in the circle we call the diameter. The diameter is actually a straight line that passes through the center of the circle and touches the two opposite ends of a circumference. This is what it means. When I have a straight line that goes through the center of the circle and touches the two opposite ends of the circumference, we call it the diameter. Now, it's also good to know that what makes up the diameter is 2 radius. Remember, this is a radius, this is also a radius. So a diameter is equal to 2 radius. Is that okay? Now, another thing in a circle that we need to know is called the circumference of the circle. The circumference of the circle. Circumference of a circle is the perimeter around the circle. That means the total distance around the circle. If I start from here, the total distance around this circle is called the circumference of the circle. That's the total distance around the circle. Or we can call it the perimeter of the circle. Is what we call the circumference of the circle. So any point on this line, collection of all these points is called what? The circumference of the circle. Also, the next thing we are going to be, concept we are going to be meeting, anytime we are doing circle, anytime we are doing anything that has to do with circle, one of the things you always be meeting is the concept of pi. Pi. And many people don't really know what pi is. Pi is the same thing as 22/7. But how did we get it? Pi is gotten, you remember we did something, I've explained what the circumference is, right? Let's say that the circumference of a circle is 50 cm. That means the total distance around that circle is 50 cm. And let's assume that the diameter of that circle is anything that it is. Anytime we divide circumference of a circle by the diameter of that particular circle, no matter how big the circle is, or how small the circle is, no matter how large the circle is, or how small a circle is, whenever we divide the circumference by the diameter, we always get the value 22/7. So that is what we call pi. Whenever pi is the same thing as circumference divided by diameter. It will give us 22/7. Also, we have something in a circle we call a chord. A chord. A chord is any line that passes through the circle and touches 2 points on the circumference is what we call a chord. For instance, this line passes through the circle and touches 2 points on the circumference, so we call it a chord. Is that okay? Now, diameter is also a chord. So whenever we have a chord that passes through the center of a circle, we call it a diameter. Is that okay? Now also, so this is a chord. Also, we have something we call an arc. An arc is just a portion on the circumference, a portion of the circumference of a circle. A portion of the circumference of a circle. That means an arc is anything. This is an arc. Any part of the circumference of a circle is called an arc. This is also an arc. Do you understand? So in every time we have a chord, we have, whenever we have a chord on a circle, we have 2 arcs. We have the minor arc and the major arc. The minor arc is the smaller arc, while the major arc is the bigger arc. Whenever we have a diameter, we have 2 equal arcs, because this is an arc, this is also an arc. So subsequently, we'll do calculations on all of these things. But today, I just want to expose you to this concept. Also, in a circle, we have something called the sector of a circle. The sector of a circle. A sector of a circle is formed by 2 radii and an arc. This is what we call, this is a sector of a circle. This is actually what we call the minor sector. Minor sector. While here, this other part is called the major sector. So whenever we have 2 radii, so a sector of a circle is a part of a circle that is bounded by 2 radii and an arc. A sector of a circle is a part of a circle that is bounded by 2 radii and an arc. So this is 2 radii, this is an arc. This is also 2 radii, this is also an arc. So this is a sector, this is also a sector. Whenever you have 2 radii and an arc, it forms a sector of a circle. Now, the last thing we're going to be looking at is called the segment. Segment. Segment of a circle is always bounded by a chord and an arc. So this is a segment. This is also a segment. We can call this the major segment, and we can call this the minor segment. So when we are playing with circle geometry, these are some important things you need to know. Let me run over it again. We have the center, which is the point which have equal radius from every point of the circumference. We have the radius, which is distance from the center to the circumference. We have the diameter, which is actually a straight line that passes through the center of the circle. We have the circumference of a circle, which is the collection of all points, the perimeter around the circle. Then we have the pi. The concept of pi, 22/7, is circumference of any circle divided by its diameter will give us 22/7. Chord is any straight line that passes through the circle and touches 2 points on the circumference of the circle. We have an arc. An arc is bounded by 2 radii, and an arc is a portion of a circumference of a circle. An arc is just a portion of the circumference of a circle. We also have the sector of a circle, which is bounded by 2 radii and an arc. Then finally, we have the segment of a circle, which is just a portion of a circle that is divided by what? By a chord. Subsequently, we'll start doing calculations, maybe area of a circle and also length of circumference and length of arcs and length area of area of sectors and the rest of those things. So endeavor to do your assignment and also invite your classmates for the next class. Thank you very much.